And I
So
did.
that's the version that we're seeing today. That was actually my next question. Is that the version that we see today?
It's the creative that realizes you got to get uncomfortable with the life that you were used to for the life you want. I've relied on the stability of things that are really not stable, if we're being honest.
Mm.
So long that God had to shake me up a little bit, like, all right, let me snatch some things from you. We're gonna see if you're really about this thing. And I
Yeah.
go through the shock of, wait, but everything has always fell into place. I got laid off for the first time last year. I've never been laid off from a thing in my life. I've always either got promoted or chose new opportunities. But it needed to happen because if it didn't, I would have still used it as a crutch to not take risk and really sink my teeth into this.
Yeah.
When we get comfortable with stuff, listen, comfort will have you sacrificing and playing small.
Hey, hey, thank God for another day. Hey, hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, pray, thank God for another day. Hey, hey, I know we could be another way.
Y'all, guess what? Guess what today is? It is Thursday, and you have entered the safe space for influencers to decompress, have fun, and just as your girl Jessica S. Smith. And baby, you know I'm excited to have you in this space. Look, we have an awesome, and I mean awesome interview today with someone special. But before, y'all already know how we do it. Desiree.
Hey.
Desiree.
Hey.
Desiree.
Hey, girl, you better stop hyping me up like that.
Girl, you know everybody love that song.
I'm trying to get used to this thing.
We gotta put that on a 1 and 2.
Hey.
We gotta put that on a 1 and 2.
Okay.
We might have to go ahead and drop by my cousin Sherman.
Okay.
Space.
Yeah, we're gonna
record that.
We're going in the booth.
Well, we gotta have a verse.
Oh, we gotta have some words.
Yeah, so you have to write a little bit.
Oh, I just was gonna be the hype person.
No,
but
that's my job.
Oh.
Like the Desiree.
Okay. So I'm supposed to be saying something in the midst of the thing. Okay, great. Hey, y'all, welcome to the space. We're here for another episode.
Y'all. Listen, I'm super excited about this episode, but y'all, you know that we have another sponsor for this episode, and we're super excited. I think I've had an epiphany, Desiree.
I just had an epiphany.
I've had a lot of epiphanies lately,
Yeah.
and it's just so happened that we're at Epiphany Hair Fashion Boutique, baby, right here in Trussville, Alabama. We are super excited about our partnership. Listen, Netta is so sweet.
She
is a ball of joy. Listen, if you watch her episode, then you already know Netta is a ball of joy, and I will shop with her any day because she is in the embodiment of her brand. She don't, how hairstylists don't have their hair done, but they claim they're hairstylists.
Mm.
But is that because, Desiree, you can speak to that? Is that because they don't have time to do their hair?
That's what it is.
It is. Okay, well, maybe that was a bad comparison.
But no, but kind of, like you say you do have, but your hair look real. But anyway, she is always on point.
She on point. She got her hair done.
Every time I done synced her, she don't
get on point.
Hair done, nails done, everything.
Everything did.
Just a beautiful soul, So we're very grateful to be in this space, and we just want to shout you out, y'all. If y'all in Trussville, make sure y'all stop by and pick up your little something for a nice
not only
like
if you're not even in Trussville, Black owned,
she business, online too.
She's online. www.epiphanyhairfashion.com. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back.
In the bike.
www.epiphanyhairfashion.com. You can look it out. Okay, she's about to come out with a fall collection soon. Y'all know y'all like to be individuals. They like to be individuals, Desiree.
Yep.
Listen, so I also had another epiphany about my guest today.
Hey.
I love this girl. I love her because we connect on so many levels. She is, I almost say she is my alter ego. She is the extrovert that we probably all want to be, y'all. I've known this girl since 2012. 23. We met at the podcast summit. And when I met her, never knew that she would be the person that I would connect with. But the reason why we connect is because she took herself seriously. Like literally both of us had an epiphany, no pun intended. We had an epiphany regarding who we were, where did we want to take our brand, what did we want to look like. And we've been rocking ever since. I respect her highly because her hustle is like none other. She is also a podcaster. Her podcast is entitled The Dirty Bad Podcast, which is not only a podcast, it's an award-winning podcast, baby. Like she out here winning awards and everything. Now this, I'm about to tell y'all her name. Now, this young lady is one thing I like about her is she speaks her mind, but not only does she speak her mind, she is very vocal about things that's going on in our world, in our atmosphere that we need to pay attention. And she puts a spin and give you a different perspective. Some of y'all that are uncomfortable are just stuck in your ways, and baby, she is gonna give it to you. Okay, she is an activist. She is a mother, okay? She's a grown woman. She does whatever she wants.
Grown.
I have the honor in bringing my sister, my friend, my colleague, I would say, none other than the one, the only, Cookie Brown.
Hey, welcome.
Baby, can't nobody ever do my intro again if they don't get the like, you don't come with that, baby. I'm logging out. I'm going the hell home because what are we doing? Listen. You will not have me.
Did I do good, Cookie? Did I introduction you?
It's the oil. The Holy Spirit guided that. The Holy Spirit guided that. God put his hands on that mic and said, do this well, my child. And you did. You delivered like Little Caesar. And I'm not mad about it. Thank you.
I'm so tickled.
I forgot to add that she's a comedian. So brace yourself for this show. Cookie. Hey girl, how you doing?
I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here too. I think that it's probably overdue, but God's timing is the best timing.
Ain't it though?
It is. I'm excited for my people to get to know you. I really am. I really meant every word in the introduction. Like, I really look up to you. When I met you at the podcast summit, I never imagined that you would be a point of interest for me. Not because I wouldn't be interested in you, but I didn't think that you would be interested in me. But it just goes to show that you never know who you're going to cross paths with, and to give everybody a chance and be open-minded. You have been a beast in these streets, girl. Like, you've been moving, like you are very intentional about every move, and you're not scared to make a move. Like, you just go. You just go.
I was at first. What's funny is you said like a point of interest. I didn't think I would be a point of interest for you because you just wasn't outside like that. Like what I loved about you at Podcast Summit is that you did not compromise on your values. While we was out drinking and stuff, you was like, nope. She had a little notebook and a little stuff. She was like, hey, I came here for one reason and one reason only. And when you were done with that one thing, you took your butt back to your room. I said, okay. All right, Pastor, I ain't finna fool. I get it. I respect it. I was like, I respect it. She ain't coming outside. She's not fooling with us like that. There was a lot of foolery out there. There was a lot of foolery. So you did good.
Cookie, let me tell y'all what Cookie said to me this year. So we were one of the original people that went to the original podcast summit. We met in Miami, y'all. Shout out to Dave Shaz for bringing people together.
Oh, yes.
And they're having everybody was doing these little meetups before. And so Cookie went to the meetup, which was more intimate. I don't know where we went. It was like bowling or ping pong or golf or something like that. I don't know what it was. But we went there, and I met her and some other people that I still watch, but not like as on the level as Cookie. Yeah. And yeah, I wasn't drinking. I had made up in my mind. I was like, I'm not here for that. Like, I'm nervous. I'm here by myself. I don't know nobody. I'm not staying with nobody. Like, everything was new. And when Cookie and we would see each other. We weren't even interacting heavily or whatever, but I followed her. She followed me, and I paid attention. We exchanged information, but I paid attention to how this girl moved. And so coming back to 2024 Podcast Summit, we kind of reflected on that, and Cookie was like, I didn't even know you drank. And I said, no, I have drunk, but even this year I'm what is it? Not clear, dry. That's why I said I'm dry. And Cookie goes, well, you didn't drink last year either. I had forgotten about that.
You didn't do, you literally, I think you might have, I feel like you, I'm like, did you come out for a second and then dip? I feel like you just had, the only interactions you had were within the summit. You literally was like, this is what I came for, this is what I'm doing, and did.
Yeah.
And did. I said, she got morals, y'all.
If y'all had questioned if I'm really like this outside, like if I try to carry myself, Cookie telling y'all what it is.
Because trust me, everybody and their mama was trying to be outside. People was definitely trying to be outside and inside of something.
And I found you the one who told me that. You the one who told me that. But I will say, even though you was outside, you was using it for content.
I was using it for content because that was my first vacation. The only vacations I've had in the past 2 years was connected to podcasting, which is crazy. I've done nothing of leisure, like really for myself, traveling wise. Everything has been podcast in the past 2 years.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, I put my head down, and that year I was working 2 full-time remote jobs. So I would take 2 laptops to the studio. So what y'all saw was me recording episodes, but it was 2 laptops and I was tapping in, like getting on one sales call, get on another one. It wore me out. I had to drop that, and I had to drop one. And then God said, oh, how about this? Let's see if you really about what you say you about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remove this one too. So when you go full-fledged into this thing, like you got to sacrifice some stuff. And I had a lot of sacrifices going into 2024. Like I just had to sit my butt down somewhere, which is not what I'm used to at all. But
you're used to being outside, hustling, doing what you need to do, because it's not just you have 2 kids, right?
Well, somebody gave me a phrase. I got 2 only childs. So my daughter's 4, my son is grown. I got a 22-year-old girl. So he's out the house, but 22, when they're trying to find their way, they come back home for a little bit.
Yeah.
So they still have to parent 2 different ways.
So you got a 22-year-old son, yes, and then you have a
4-year-old daughter.
2?
She's 4.
She's 4? Okay, yeah. And she's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
She is gorgeous. How do you navigate? Let me ask you this. The difference of the motherhood, right? Because obviously you were much younger when you had your 22-year-old son. How have you developed as a mom?
Well, I had almost 2 decades to figure out some stuff. So my son, little crash test, he was my little guinea pig. I got to mess up a lot with him. So with her, when I got pregnant with her, that was the daughter I always wanted. And so I had years to like work through my mess ups with my son. So with her, I was just intentional. Like, look, I'm trying to raise a free Black girl here. So that means change some things about me and the way I view the world and the way I talk to her. I was parenting my son the way I was raised. Like I kept him on a tight leash because I grew up in North St. Louis. Even though that ain't where he was born, I didn't want him to get into trouble. So I didn't allow him very much freedom. And he was already introverted. So I was coming into activism as he was coming into his preteen years. And that's just a horrible combination. That's a young Black man. You got to be there during those years. That 12, 13, 14, 15 is pivotal. So I made mistakes in the name of trying to be there for community. With my daughter, it was like, I'm cutting off negative energy. I'm cutting off folks that ain't supportive. I'm going to start eating right. I'm not eating right now. But during that pregnancy, I was like vegan. Like I really took care of myself. But with her, I'll allow her to have a voice as a little Black girl. So when I'm being a little too harsh or I'm not giving enough affection, she takes up space and she lets you know, like, that hurt my feelings. Like, can you not do that, mommy? Or I need a hug. Like that little girl, like, look, I'm here in my fullness. I'm going to take up space and you're going to raise me right. And I'm going to treat you. I'm going to train you on how I need to be raised. So it's a completely different experience.
That's so good. You brought up multiple points, and even in you saying that. So I'm curious to know, I know that one of the things I brought up in your introduction is that you're an activist, and that has a lot of connections to what you're doing now. You mentioned that your activism started when your son was an adolescent. What did your activism teach him? And is he into that realm, or what is that like?
He was like 11. So, well, he was 12. So when Ferguson kicked off, he saw the problem in the community. Like he literally sat in the passenger seat and watched Ferguson burn. You know what I'm saying? So as a 12-year-old boy, he saw it firsthand. But I think that him watching me be gone so much and not be around. I wonder, I've never asked him whether or not that put a bad taste in his mouth. Something tells me some of it did, because he was going to a predominantly white school. So mind you, we dealing with all this stuff. This around the time Trump getting ready to get in office. It was so much going on. So he knew like this community is messed up, but also like, look at the time it took my mom away from me. Like I would drive to St. Louis and I would drop him off with his grandmother. He would be with his dad's family. And it happened so much that I was missing the signs that he needed me there. He didn't want to be, he needed me to mother him instead of me trying to go out in the streets and mother other people, you know? So I left that, well, I walked away in 2016 because I learned from activism that you have to know balance. Yeah, community is important, but so are you. And your kids have one mother. As one of the girls on my panel at the live show said, like, you got one time with this parenting thing to get it right. So yeah, you can do all these things, but are your kids good? And sometimes some of us that are parents that try to be community involved, we lose sight of that, trying to take care of everybody else. No, there has to be balance, and you gotta parent. You gotta take care of home before you take care of everybody else.
You said something so powerful, and I guess I've never thought about the mirroring of a parent can take a responsibility or assignment that's outside of parenting to the degree where it negates them being a parent. I remember growing up, you know, I don't know if you know this or not, Cookie, that I'm a PK. So I don't know if this is I'm a PK.
What? No.
Ah,
breaking news.
I can't
Never would have thunk it.
Ah,
No way. Wow.
girl, shut up.
Amazing.
But I am a PK. And my experience with being a PK is interesting. If I go back and my dad talks about this now, even what you said, that realization of I put the church before my family. I made everything about the church, and I even taught them to put the church before the family. So being an adult, I'm thinking that it's more important to serve God in this way versus doing what I need to do for myself. Like my therapist asked me the other day, girl, she was like, when are you going to choose you? That's wild. My therapist said that.
And what you say?
I shut up.
You paid for silence?
I didn't know what to say. Cause it's like when you realize you have one of those revelations and it just choked the living crap out of you. You're like, oh, I ain't never thought of that. So I gotta go journal. I gotta go be with myself with that revelation. But she came for my neck.
Did it have anything to do with the fact that you be trying to like be at all these events?
No, it didn't have anything to do that. She just realized like different aspects of life. Cause you know, us as women, you talk about, I love how you like seem like to be a girl's girl. Like you for our black women, baby. You be like for us by us.
I think I'm like a mean girl's girl is what I'm coming to terms with. Like people be thinking I'm mean as hell. I be trying, and then I be like, y'all BS.
But you're not mean. You're not mean. You're accurate. You're very direct.
I'm not. That's gonna be
you gonna use that for your tagline. I'm not mean. I'm accurate.
Accurate. Watch me. I'm doing a post. I'm about to remix some of your stuff as soon as I get off here. Watch me. I'm gonna shake a table today. I wouldn't even do that.
You're so. Desiree is over here laughing so
you
hard.
People in trouble with one quote, and that's their blood is on your hands. But whatever.
Well, I receive responsibility, but yeah, it made me think of that, and so I thank you for one. I thank you for taking responsibility of you not, hey girl, taking responsibility of not being present in that moment. It does not mean that you weren't a present mom. This is so good. Just because you weren't present in a moment doesn't mean that you're not present, period.
Yeah.
And I think you have a healthy grip of that. Would you say that?
I didn't at the time, because when I wasn't in the streets, I was on the phone with people about the streets. So that lifestyle just never leaves you, which I think a pastor would understand that as well, is that when I was home, because I was living in Kansas, driving 6.5 hours every weekend to Ferguson.
Yeah.
I went to the ground. So those were the only relationships I had at that point were activists. I didn't know how to talk to regular friends anymore. We just didn't connect. So when you have friends, and this can tie into a lot of things. When you have friends that are not in that world and they're not passionate and they don't care about it, they get tired of hearing about it. So they themselves, because you ain't kicking it no more. You're intentional about a thing. And when people don't respect that thing, they're going to pull away from you. They're going to resent you. So now you're just left being around these people. But these people got all kinds of trauma. So you in this little bowl of trauma with these people, and all y'all do is exchange trauma every day, all day. It gets lonely and weird, and it's not healthy. So my son still got the scraps. When we was at home, he heard me on the phone talking about activism. If I wasn't out there, so it just, I didn't have a grip on reality. I would go to work, for however many hours, and then get right back on the phone about protests.
You just said a mouthful. Okay. You just said a mouthful. What I just heard you say is that you were intentional about a decision that you made, and those that were not intentional about the same decision were uninterested in it. And what I'm hearing is that that's where some of the relationships died. Is that correct?
Yeah, or it died until they found a way to benefit off of it. The flip side to protesting is that because when y'all together all the time, y'all party together. So people wanted to come for the sunshine, the fun part of it, but the grit and the sacrifices and things like that. I ended up losing relationships that I had since like third, sixth grade behind this, because there's a thing called protest groupies. People don't know this, but there are folks that like, it's the same thing with podcasting. There are people that like to be attached to folks doing a thing when it's exciting and it's getting attention. And I had friends that didn't care about activism, but they cared about coming to kick it. They cared about trying to flirt with other protests. It's just, so I literally lost relationships behind it that couldn't see myself rekindling. So it was just, and that was 2016. So right now it's 2024, and I'm still dealing with the effects of that. Like just the mental health side, how some people lost their minds in that process. And mentally we can't talk anymore because they're just not there. And I don't know how to help them. So,
girl, you talking so good. You're talking so good right now. I didn't even know. That's why I say I let Holy Spirit tell me what we're gonna talk about, because you're making me even aware. I would imagine Desiree is over there like she'll sit there and just digest the whole conversation. But one of the things that I'm interested in knowing is, how in the world does Cookie Brown get into activism?
It's because of how I grew up. North St. Louis is rough. We used to see the police mess with people and all of that. So I was minding my business when Mike Brown happened. I just happened to take a nap, woke up, looked on Facebook, and his cousin was a high school classmate of mine. And she said, "You shot my cousin," like he had his hands up. You didn't have to do that. And I'm like, oh, dang, that's messed up. And as I start scrolling, I start seeing all these posts and people standing at the yellow tape, which would later turn into protesters. So I'm like, bruh, I grew up near this neighborhood. The cops it was just one of the moments where it was like, enough is enough. So I watched everything happen for days straight, and I'm like, I'm going home this weekend. So I got off work, got my son, drove out there. And the first time you come into that space and you see the media walking around looking for stories, I remember a reporter from a very small town called Lebanon, Missouri, a few hours south of St. Louis. She asked some Black men to pretend to loot so she could get photos, because she had to go back home with something. And when I overheard this, I'm like, did she just tell y'all to pretend to loot? So I got them to lure her back over there so she can repeat it and I can record it. And it's on my personal page. It's so far down, it's ridiculous. It's years old. But at that moment, I was like, oh my God, they're literally out here painting narratives about our Black men that are false for clickbait. And that was the moment I was really like, all right, I'll see y'all next weekend. I got to go to work. I'll be back next weekend. And for like 90 days straight, I spent at least $1,200 on rentals. Thank God I still have my enterprise hookup from my enterprise days. I spent so much money on gas and rentals to go back home to get tear gassed, which is crazy. But if I knew then what I knew now, I would have got therapy before I stepped foot out there. We all should have.
We're going to shift to that in a second, because you're bringing up a great idea, because now I'm getting to your world. Now, I wouldn't consider myself an activist. I'm passionate, but I don't think I'm passionate to the point of activism. Or if I am activist, I might act in another way. Like I'm not outside doing it. So just like you brought up how it's related almost to the idea of podcast. And I think one of the things that we share in common is that we can consider ourselves podcasters because we've made a decision to be consistent no matter the outcome at times, right? Sometimes you don't get what you want. You don't get the views all the time. You don't get the replays. You don't get the likes, the comments, or subscribes. And so now you're telling me that you have this sector or section of yourself where I made a decision to do it, but what made you stay in? What ended up being your why?
you build community. You have these people and y'all go through this experience together and you see how it impacts the world. Like when we saw the Tibetan monks out there in the heat holding up signs, when you saw Palestinians getting online, tweeting, telling us what to do if we got tear gas, which is why we really be rocking with Palestine. They taught us how to survive tear gas. We didn't know what that, we never had tanks in our neighborhood. That was normal for them. So when you have things like this happen and you see people from all over the world tweeting, we stand with y'all, it was just like, what we doing is impact. Like we didn't call ourselves no activists. We just a bunch of hood nugs that got tired and just said, we got to do something. We didn't know what we were doing. We just were set and we needed accountability. We needed justice. That's it. So it was very organic. Now, what it turned into years later, we can get into that. That's something totally different. It went from being something very genuine and organic to this pop culture thing where everybody and their mama trying to capitalize and trying to become famous and get careers off of it, including celebrities. So it turned into something years later, very capitalistic. And that's not what it started out as. And to date, 9 of us have died. So the thing is, to date, all of us the people that kicked this off ain't even here no more. So that's where the podcast really also came from, even though I didn't take an activist approach. All I knew was from being a part of that is you gotta tell your stories. You gotta tell your story while you're here on borrowed time, because you don't know what's gonna take you up out of here, and you don't want somebody else telling your narrative for you. So I'm not so much pro podcaster as I am pro truth teller. If you're gonna get on that mic, get on that mic for a reason. This is your time to leave a mark, not just talk about stupid mess all the time, which I love stupid mess. So maybe but we need to know who you are. If I don't know who you are behind the stupid mess, you wasted an hour of folks' time consistently for however long you're here. Leave your mark. It's almost like I eulogize myself every solo episode a little bit. I mean, I'm probably using the wrong word, but
no, that's an interesting word. No, that's not a wrong word. That is an interesting word.
Setting myself up for the day that I'm not here and people want to know who I was. This is for my daughter's daughters. See what I'm saying? If you ever want to know who grandma was, here's a whole body of work. If anybody ever want to know what Cookie thoughts were on XYZ, baby, there's a whole catalog. So it's more than just the podcast. It's me making sure that I empty everything here and leave it here. Because it can't come with, these thoughts can't come with me. My laughs can't come with me. The stories can't come with me. I'm leaving it. So it's deeper than just an episode. It's y'all, every day I get another wrinkle. I get another crow's feet. My knees start hurting a little bit. My body's reminding me, hey, you're going to go home. You getting one step closer to going home, sis. So what you going to do with the time that you got here? And that's how I always think about it. That's why I'm so big on solo. Sometimes I love a good guest, but baby, I'm going to need this moment to talk to my people.
I think that's so amazing and it makes sense, but you're interesting along. I just want you to know that you are interesting along. And I love how like you have a balance. Like if people really pay attention and listen to you, Cookie, like your heart you're full of wisdom. If people just really listen like to what you really saying. And when I listen to you, I'm like, man, sis dropping gems. Okay. So if I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. Y'all go subscribe to my sister. After you watch the episode right now, press pause if you want to. The Dirty Bag podcast. I mean, she is doing phenomenal. It's not it's not because of the numbers, but she tells the truth and people really like you.
Go vote for me. I just got another nomination. Please go vote.
Go vote for what is it? Dallas Pod.
No, this is different. This came out of nowhere. This is Cosign. This is the Cosign Award for Podcast of the Year. I just found out about this weekend. I said, who do y'all? I didn't even think y'all fool with me. But yeah, go vote.
Yeah, go vote. Like Cookie is something special. So one of the things that I wanted to you're tapping into so much. Let's go back to the mental health part of you being an activist. What do you mean by that? Because that's not something in my mind. Now that you putting it in terms of I got tear gas, I got this, I got that. Now being a student of the mental health field, I know I can understand why you're saying this, but just to the natural eye, it's like, oh, these people are so strong. They're so brave. Why would they need this? They don't need to talk to anybody. They're doing this on the behalf. But it's almost like talking to a World War II veteran. Like that's what I'm sensing. Let's talk about that.
You finna break me. She good, y'all. She good. This girl good. I'm gonna go ahead and let you have it. You good. As many podcasts I've been on and folks have tried to demand my vulnerability, which is very weird, you cracked it. What people don't understand is when you decide to stand up for something, a lot of times it comes from a place of trauma. So it happened to you, whether you got harassed by cops or you felt neglected or you have abandonment issues. When you come into a community of activism, you now have a group of people that all want to do the same thing you do, make the world a better place, but you still have your demons coming in. So when you deal with being harassed by cops, people are on Twitter calling for your throat, saying they hope you catch a bullet. You getting random calls to your job, to your supervisor, saying that you got to do something about her. She's racist. If you don't do something, I will. To unmarked police cars following you around, to you figuring out what your phone calls being tapped sounds like. Like Ferguson was real. We went through it. So when you're dealing with these things all the time and you don't have the support really of your family because they don't get the world you in, because some of them are like, I wish y'all would stop doing that. Why are you blocking the highway? Why are you? It gets very lonely. And whatever vices you had before coming into activism or whatever, it's going to magnify. So if you had a drinking problem, but you stopped drinking for a while because you were just so amped about this movement, when them dark moments come, guess what you're going to do? You're going to drink.
Yeah.
If drugs was your thing before, but you were clean because you was out here in the streets and you were fighting, when you start getting depressed or you lose your job behind activism, what you gonna do? You're gonna turn back to those things. So we all in our own way, whatever form, we turned back to those things.
Girl, if you were next to me, I would throw something at you.
Listen, I remember what pulled me away from activism was one of us got murdered. And it just so happened that he was my cousin's boyfriend. So now I was torn between the activism world and my family. The activism world, we turn everything major, even when it's not what we think it is. It was a certain thing and it wasn't that. And
is that how they trained y'all to see things though? Like, let's say, I'm like, we talk about racism, right? And if you grew up in a racist family, you're trained to see the opposite race as a certain way. Would you suggest that was what happened, or it was because you were just in the fire and you was looking for something to just blow up so you can have a reason to be an activist about it?
We knew that in that situation, the cops couldn't stand this particular activist. He was the one that made the most noise. He was the one that called out the original Black Lives Matter organization. Because most folks don't, if you wasn't involved back then, you don't know that Ferguson and Black Lives Matter were two different people. But Black Lives Matter, these organizers came to St. Louis when everything was heating up, got in front of the camera and the media named the movement. We didn't do that. The chant was hands up, don't shoot. We thought we were just saying a chant. We thought we start hearing Black Lives Matter one day in a sign. We thought we was just saying a chant. We had no idea it was a whole initiative / organization. So there was a whole lot of infighting going on that the public didn't know about back in 2014, 2015. This particular activist, his name is Darren Seals, he called it out early. Before the rest of the world caught on, he called them out early. So he made a lot of enemies with his mouth. So after his murder, the first thought was it was a setup. The police got him. No, he just had a certain life before activism that came back, like certain beefs that came back. But we didn't know how to differentiate that because to us, everything was a setup from the cops. Not saying, I mean, the cops were definitely happy. Let's be clear. They were happy. But for me, that was the moment where I had to pull back because I didn't have the support to tell them, y'all, I'm sorry, y'all, it ain't what we think it is. So I'm trying to be here for my cousin that has suffered a major loss. But this movement that's like, no, it's the cops. It was just a lot. And I remember driving around with an open bottle of vodka. And I was so stressed out. My anxiety was through the roof. I couldn't breathe because I had to be there for her. But I'm driving around my neighborhood just drinking, open bottle. Didn't care. And that was when I moved away from the movement. It's like, this is destroying me. I don't know how to grieve anymore. I don't know what's what. We don't trust anybody. Like, it messes with your mental health because you walk around with a huge dose of paranoia about everything. Trust nobody. You don't know who the COINTELPRO is within the group that was hired by the cop or who was paid to cause disruption but feed them information. That life didn't even feel real. And when you try to tell it to the average person, they think you crazy. And it's like, because you sound crazy. Like, what do you mean y'all phone lines being tapped? You being followed by cars, folks calling your job. That sounds like a movie. No, it was.
I was just about to say, like, what you're telling me sounds like a movie. It sounds like a biopic about Martin Luther King, like the things I hear about what happened to him. It sounds just like that.
because they put us in the room with civil rights legends. Like I sat at a brunch with Angela Davis. We have to sit at that woman's feet and ask her questions. So when you're in their life, you get exposed you get to meet some of your legends and your faves, and they talk to you about things. So you see how real it is, because we went through a lot of the same stuff they did, but we won't have conversations until we dead and gone. It'll be like 2050 before the conversations of what happened between 2014 and 2020 really goes down in the books and folks start telling these stories. But it messes you up mentally. It's definitely like a soldier coming home from war and you need years. You need years, and we didn't all make it out, and not all of us are in our necessarily right mind without meds. I thank God that I'm not on meds. That's a blessing to say that I'm not on meds today because of any of that.
Man, Cookie, you're opening me up to a space that I never thought that I needed to hear. It puts me in a space of thinking beyond what I see. That's what I hear you say. Like what's really going on, and we all have this concept of the media does not tell the full story, right? And that's another reason why the podcasts are so important. Even our conversation right now, like people in my mind, and I'm just gonna tell you the truth because I'm a realist at this point. When people hear Cookie Brown name, like we'll be in spaces, even in the podcast community, where they say, "Oh yeah, she'll give a good laugh, she'll give a good entertainment," but you got to understand that Cookie knows a place of pain.
Oh,
like it's almost like what's his name that's laughing my pain, Kevin Hart.
That's literally what it is. Like when I have trolls in my comments, I'm like, bro, you think you talking about my wig doing something to me? I got chased down an alley by cops before. I've tasted tear gas. Come with something harder than my wig. I knew the thing was raggedy when I put it on. I didn't care. Like I'm gonna need you to give me a real insult. I chose the damn wig. I know that it was $15. I just threw it on. I ain't bald headed. Like you got to come with something real. I've been threatened by people I've told people that people have told me I should catch a bullet. Like you got to come harder than that. So yeah, I've learned that humor helps the pain go down a little bit easier.
What I was going to say is, you know how you talked about it being you've been eulogizing yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you like, I don't know if that's right, but because I wanted to go to the Google. I went to Google. And a eulogy is just that. It's a speech or a writing that honors and praises someone, typically someone that has died, right? So I think the beauty of what you're doing is a lot of times, if we're honest, people get up there and lie, girl, at funerals about the people that's in the casket. But what's beautiful is you are leaving your legacy. You are being able to tell your story your way, and we get to learn, because I'm sitting here now, I'm like, dang, it does sound like something off a movie. I ain't never known nobody out there on the streets like that. They talk about it for real, but I'm like, that's just stuff because I'm in Alabama, right? That's just stuff I just see on the TV. But I just think it's so beautiful that you are giving yourself the space and the opportunity to tell your own story.
Because it's been because history's been rewritten already. We just celebrated the 10-year. It was the 10-year anniversary of the uprising, was August 9th. Well, it was the 10-year anniversary of Mike Brown's death. And I'm like, in 10 years, I've turned into 3 different versions of myself. I'm activist to like harlot phase to deal with the trauma of activism. I went into a version of myself that wasn't healthy to heal from it. That didn't work. But I knew I needed to talk about some things. So I went through. So I mean, being in Dallas is interesting. This is very like a kind of a socialite space, and I'll come to brunch and get cute. But then when people open their mouth to speak, I just be like, "Oh, it's empty up there. Oh, it ain't nothing." So all we got in common is we just cute right now. That's it. I can't have a deep conversation about things that matter. Don't let these selfies and the makeup fool you. I care about what goes on in our community. I'm just in a space now where I'm trying to chase my happy, because for a long time that trauma was normal. Like it was normal to wake up mad every day. It was normal to get online and fight with trolls and racists. You do that for like 3 years straight, man. You don't even know how to have real relationships with folks anymore, because you're just always in a state of rage. So even in year 3 of this podcast, I'm still learning how to find what happiness and what my new normal looks like. It takes a long time to transition from that.
Cookie, You have me stirred right now. You're talking too well for me, woman of God. You are talking too well. One of the things I want to know is, I'm going to ask a 2-part question. I know I'm asking you like this because I know you can handle a 2-part question.
Got it.
The first part is, how in the world did you get from St. Louis to Dallas? And the second part of that, you brought up the multiple versions of you in the past 10 years. How did you navigate through those versions? What did it look like giving yourself permission to be what you needed to be at that time?
Okay, so I came here by way of women's basketball. So the Final Four in 2017, one of my friends, Deanna Jackson, was a childhood friend. She was assistant women's basketball coach of Mississippi State. So back in 2017, they was dominating, like they were the conversation. So everywhere they went, I chased them up the highway. They played Oklahoma, but the Final Four was here in Dallas. So me and my son came here for that Final Four. And I was like, okay, Dallas. I didn't realize it was 5 hours up the highway from where I live. I just liked it. My son liked Dallas more than I did. And I had a friend from college, one of my college besties that lived here. So I was like, Dallas is kind of cool. I came and visited a few more times. When the pandemic hit, so I was a market development manager for Coca-Cola. So my job was to be in bars, restaurants, and hospitals all day, getting business. Now, when the pandemic hit, 3 places you couldn't be: a bar, a restaurant, a hospital, or a school. So I was at home, like making calls to these business owners, trying to get money out of them, and the world shut down. They like, girl, we ain't got no money. Our business is closed. We don't even know if we're going to be able to open again. So I made the decision, and I had like a situation with a guy. Jesus, I was going through postpartum. A very messy situation happened. And I remember one day we had a couples therapy call. Crazy. Oh Lord, situation, girl. But I remember hanging up and I said, that late that night I had a glass of wine and I was just walking my living room and I said, I'm moving to Dallas. I'm quitting my job and I'm moving to Dallas. Didn't have a plan in place. No, nothing. I said, I'm moving to Dallas. And I'm gonna finally get this podcast going, and I'm gonna start doing sales consulting. I've been in sales forever. I'm tired, I need a break. I'm tired of corporate. I was so, all I've known is corporate sales, all I've ever done. So I literally started driving back and forth to Dallas for like 3 weekends straight looking for a place. Put in my 2-week notice. I had like $10,000 and I moved. And my daughter was like 11, right before her first birthday. So I was starting to put things in place for the podcast as I'm getting ready to move here. And I moved here November 1st, had everything still packed up. November 20th, 21st, launched the podcast. Wasn't even unpacked in my new place yet. It literally was just like I took a risk. I took a leap with no real plan. Craziest thing I ever did. But it's also the thing that changed my life, for real. So there's that. So that's how I came to Dallas.
That's wonderful.
And the world was still locked down. So I didn't have a creative community. I didn't know no creatives yet. So that's how that happened. Now, the 10-year change, I went through such a messy version of such an unhealthy version. Like I said, everybody had their vices in activism. Mine was liquor, but then it became sex. It was just like, maybe I'm somebody that has bragged about the number of sexual partners I had for up until I bragged about the fact that I could count on one hand the number of men I slept with. That was a flex for me. Because I did. I mean, there was 4 years of celibacy in there, So I bragged about it. So I went from somebody that bragged about not letting anybody have access to me to like, bro, if I need this itch scratch, it's going to get scratched. Really, I just was trying to get past the pain of me walking away from my activist family and being sad about how that situation ended up and how it was just no longer a safe, healthy space for me. It was just not, to the point where it was just like, girl, you giving your body to people, like this is not helping you. And these Negroes are raggedy. So we got to figure this out. You're going to have to shut it down again. So what I ended up doing, I think I took a trip to Cuba, January 2019, a solo trip. This is now my second trip. And I just remember being by myself and just feeling like I want to create. I want to change my life. I want to do something meaningful and impactful. I'm tired of just being stuck in the same space. I hate this job. I'm miserable. I feel like I'm stopped up. I'm not in the activism world anymore. So what's next for me? And it kind of started from there. But I think my daughter is really what gave me nuts. Once I got pregnant with her, it was like, we're going to start taking some risks. It's so crazy it took for me to be pregnant to take the risk that I didn't take when she wasn't in the picture. Like that little girl was the enforcer. With her, I was like, I'm drinking more water. If I don't like this job, I'm going to leave. If I want to do this, I'm going to do it. So that girl, I know people hate when mama say this, but she literally saved my life because she helped me walk into a new version of myself, which is the one that knows she wants to create and that she wants to leave her mark here. She got to quit talking about it and just do it. And I did.
So that's the version that we're seeing today. That was actually my next question. Is that the version that we see today?
It's the creative that realizes you got to get uncomfortable with the life that you were used to for the life you want. I've relied on the stability of things that are really not stable, if we're being honest. So long that God had to shake me up a little bit, like, all right, let me snatch some things from you. We're going to see if you're really about this thing.
Yeah.
And I go through the shock of, wait, but everything has always fell into place. I got laid off for the first time last year. I've never been laid off from a thing in my life. I've always either got promoted or chose new opportunities, but it needed to happen because if it didn't, I would have still used it as a crutch to not take risk and really sink my teeth into this.
Yeah.
When we get comfortable with stuff, listen, comfort will have you sacrificing and playing small. You got to have some stuff snatched from up under you sometime to be like, all right, sink or swim, girl, what you finna do? You either gonna do what you said you want to do, or you gonna abandon it and prove yourself to be full cap and just go back to what makes sense.
That's so good, because I was wondering, Cookie, you kind of answered some of the questions that I'm even curious about just for my own personal understanding of you, is that when did Cookie become so bold? And what I'm hearing is that, and you can correct me or elaborate on this, is that your daughter brought another level of boldness in you because she mattered. It mattered to you what she not only thought of you, but what you could build for her so she could stand upon.
I want her to not be scared to go after it. You know, the way I was brought up is just go get you a good job, or just get you a good career. Just do a good, stable paying job, and then that's success in life. No, the hell it ain't. No, it's not. We don't talk about the flip side of that, your mental health, whether or not you're happy. And at the time, the money still ain't money. It's still not doing what it need to do, and you miserable. So with her, it was just like, I'm ready to live a life I want and not the life that I've settled for. And it's going to come with some bumps. It's going to come with a lot of bumps. Dallas has gave me opportunities I've never had, but I've experienced some lows too. But it's the price of, if you want it, it's going to cost you some things. It's not going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable for a while. But now that little girl, I want her to see somebody that does what they want to do, not what people tell them to do. And I've always done what folks have, I've always been like the first Black girl in a lot of the positions I'm in, or one of the few. So, you get trained on feeling like you're special because you're one of the few. Baby, you are not special. You can be replaced tomorrow, and you code switching, and you're not happy. And these people don't even value your humanity. This is what you breaking your neck and getting stressed about. This is what you getting more wrinkles in your forehead for. All right, sis, go off. Tell me how it's working out for you. Tell me how.
Sis, I wish you could see this customer right now. She listening to you and she laughing, but she shake her head like, yeah.
You ate milk over what? We don't do that. So it's just like, go after this. But I mean, the creative world comes with its own. Now, once you get in the creative world, that's a whole new set of.
It's a whole, and I'm gonna let you talk about that because that's been one of the conversations that me and you and I have agreed upon. I've appreciated. Let me tell you, thank you publicly. I've appreciated our conversation because sometimes our conversation will come up, and you're one person I don't want to disappoint. Like, I know I was nervous about our I was nervous about our time together today because I do value what you say. Yeah. I know you study this just as much as I do. You've invested in this like I have. And so it's almost like Lord Jesus, journeying, thank you, Lord, through this with somebody that wants it as bad as you. And I don't know, I think in this realm, I don't have anybody that I think about that I want to win in this realm of podcasting as much as I want you to win. Like, I really think highly of you, Cookie. And so
you finna play. You see, she played too much, y'all. She played too much. She had a plan. She had a plan coming into this call. She played too damn much. You played too much.
I'm being honest, Cookie. I just haven't had an opportunity to tell you that. And now you can go listen to it, and your children's children can go listen to the impact. You're still an activist. You just you're different activists. You pick up on people and you root for people, and like everybody loves Cookie. Cookie gonna get what she want. Some people wish that they were Cookie, and that's why you make people uncomfortable. Because you're
Jesus. See, you about to damn it, Jason. It's okay. I ain't no punk. I ain't gonna cuss. I ain't no punk AB.
It's okay.
I ain't no punk AB.
It's okay.
I'm not. But this world is equally as hard. Oh, Jesus. Girl, you get on my nerves. This world is equally as hard because we're all trying to get to a certain space. And you are right. Everybody does not root. I think that in this world, people want you to do well, but they want you to do well to a certain point, as long as it doesn't exceed their comfort level for you, and as long as they can still attach themselves to you.
Mm.
And good God, this girl is good. Oh, she good. For me, I've worked too hard to sacrifice what it is I do for half-ass people. Know that I've offended people because I'm one of them people. My mind works quicker than logic sometimes. Like I'll say, you know what? I want to work with them before I really weed people out and vet them. And sometimes I vet a little too late. And I vet when I gave somebody access to things they shouldn't have access to. You know, it's been a long 3 years with this platform, but I didn't bump my head, and because people haven't necessarily gotten what they felt entitled to from me out of coming into this space, it's created a very weird space with us. It's very hard to put everything into something and knowing that there are people around you or that want access to you that do not have your best interest at heart. Is selfish motives. And I struggle with it because that whole thing about me being mean, I do care about folks' perception of me to a point where I don't want to come off mean, but sometimes I just be knowing what I know, sis. I'm sorry. Sometimes I know what I know, and it's hard for me to unsee it. So it's like, now I've pulled you in saying, let's do this thing, or hey, sis, and that's like, whoa, this ain't that.
Yeah.
So back up without looking flaky. Like that's something that, I struggle with. Everybody don't need to eat. Sometimes you got to get your butt in the kitchen and cut some onions. You come in here and boil some water. You just can't come with a to-go plate. And that's been the hardest thing for me, is after this podcast summit, it made me be more intentional about who I collaborate with. Because this is such an intimate space. Your space is very intimate. And everybody don't need to be up in here and letting the wrong people in here. They can destroy you.
Yeah. It's almost like letting somebody in your house.
It's like letting somebody in your house. I've let people in my house, and it got weird afterwards because they ain't had no business in there. The hardest thing I did this year was creating a live show, and I was stressed for 3 months. Baby, I was mad almost every week because I made that mistake early on. I tried to send out a whole lot of invites in the house.
Yeah.
In 24, 48 hours, it was like, girl. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to split up the house. I'll just have 2 different cookouts. Let's just do that. And even making that decision, I watched how some of the attendees of what would have been the second cookout responded to it. And I said, oh no. Oh, this ain't it, sis. Pay attention to the energy. Pay attention to how people respond when they don't get what they want from you. Or it's not no, but just not now.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot. So when me and you be having conversations about like who's serious and who ain't, you'll learn real quick. Everybody wants to do this, but everybody don't want to do this. They want to do it because of the perception of what comes with it, not the grit, not the dedication, not the sacrifices. And sometimes they will come and attach themselves to you to help them get there quicker. No, ma'am. I had long nights in the studio, tears in the studio, things going wrong, episodes disappearing, like those not helping me when things malfunction, guests, people being flaky. So many things. And it's just like I work too hard and to put entirely too much of my blood, sweat, and tears in this to be playing with any of y'all that ain't working as hard as I am, but wanting to come meet. No. I'm not going to feel guilty about saying no when I know people ain't got that work ethic. And that's the part that I've struggled with. I can watch you and see if you about it. It don't take much. And I'm not saying we're the best thing on earth, but baby, you know when somebody wants something and when they want the idea of it. And now you got to make a decision.
I was gonna ask you, Cookie, you're leading me into the questions that I'm thinking about asking you. So as well as you're enjoying this interview, you're luring me into asking you these questions. Yeah. So what does it look like? What do you look for when you're now that we're gonna switch to podcast, and how do you know somebody's ready to be taught or ready for this level of commitment? Because one thing people don't understand is it's your yes got to be yes and your no got to be no. And if your yes fully yes, it's not going to be easy. Like it's a consistency that's required to really do this thing. So what would you suggest? How would you speak to those people that think they desire this lifestyle?
Me and you had this conversation a while back, and it was about that whole pick your brain. Let's just get into it. I'll have folks hit me up. Somebody like, can you mentor me? Which I learned you don't really pick your mentor picks you. There's kind of difference between mentoring and coaching. But I've had folks like, I want to pick your brain. Can you do this, that, and the third? And my first go-to is look at your page and see what effort you're already putting into what you have. It ain't about volume. It ain't about having a fancy setup. It's about your effort to show up for your audience. If you are not showing up for your audience with what you have, I started this with a $30 mic and a broken down laptop. It was just audio. I didn't have a team. The girl that was going to edit for me dropped me a week before it was time to launch. It was the best thing she ever did for herself because she wholeheartedly chased her dreams and she had time to hold mine too. But I look at what you do with what you have. If you are not showing up, even if it's 10, 20 people, if you ain't showing out for them 10, 20 people, what you want me to do for you? You don't even care enough about them to give them what you got, but you want to come pull on me? That's crazy. So I look at your consistency with your audience. I also look at the fact if you want to invest, because like you said, we made some investments. I made that investment a couple of weeks before I got laid off. Please, let's talk about how my bills was late. So when I say, cool, we can do a session, because you and I know when somebody pick our brain, it's going to be long. So when I throw a price on it, do you value me enough to pay what my rate is to take my time? Oh, it's quiet now? Got it. So you're okay with me giving you everything I've paid for, everything I've worked hard for free, but I'm not worthy enough for you to compensate? I'll bet. Got it. I'll get right on that. Yes, let's hop on the call. Please take my time up. So I look at whether or not you're willing to invest. Now, if we're working together, we bouncing off each other, that's a different conversation, baby. It's equal parts work and pouring. But you shouldn't be going around trying to pull on what somebody worked so hard for and invested in, and you not making an investment showing you serious. So it's my first thing. I told somebody the other day, I told them what David Shands told us 2 years ago with his podcast boot camp. I'm challenging y'all to go live every day. Before you even start a podcast, go live. Why not? Why would you not want to go live? There's literally an audience there. You get real-time feedback. If you're not willing to start talking to people where you are with the apps that you spend all day on, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. You want the setup. You want what looks like, baby, starting out, this is rough. This is rough. Your friends that said they was going to be there, some of them won't like a post, won't share a post, no nothing. You will post things one day and it will go 2 hours without getting a like. Are you cool with that? Are you cool with posting something that's not going to get a like? Because that's going to happen. And if you're not good with that, what you doing this for? So my question to anybody is, because y'all know, I say all the time, podcasters get on my nerves. I'm never going to stop. You guys, absolutely. So when people say, I want to start a podcast, my question is why? Because we got a lot of folks on the mic you're just foaming at the mouth.
Yeah.
Of the mouth. Your mouth is just flapping in the wind and you ain't saying nothing. So my first question is why? You doing it to make money? Oh, dear.
Baby.
Oh, baby girl. Baby. How about you just get good at talking? Let's just start at point A. How about you just talk? Just right now, talk. You don't need to talk. Let me hear what's coming out your mouth and we'll go from there. We got a lot of there are a lot of mediocre podcasts and they don't have real friends because their friend ain't telling them, yo, you kind of boring, sis. Fam, you kind of, this ain't for you. Tell your friends they whack. I'll put out a lot of whack stuff. I was in episodes like somebody should have texted me and said, sis, this ain't it. So if I can say that about myself as good as I know I am, some of y'all are just whack and your friends don't like you because they won't tell you that you're whack. Go live and let the people that know you get in there and give you some, let them critics come in first. Then we can talk about coaching.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Girl, you have said a lot in the time that we've been together, Desiree.
Whack. Whack.
Desiree. I wish you could see her face right now, Cookie.
Whack. Desiree, say it with me. There are people that are
whack.
And your friends don't like you because they won't tell you.
But I think it's very popular nowadays to say, hey, I want to start a podcast. Case in point, I had a young gentleman that I went to record for, and it was his first time. He said, oh yeah, this is something I've always wanted to do. He interviewed, I want to say it was like a judge in the area, and the judge did good because that's what he do. He show up, he talked, blah, 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 but it was like watching paint. It was like watching paint dry. And I just try to, hey, maybe next time, if this is something that you really feel like you're called to do, you might need to work on like conversation, like having conversation, because it was just a real like question and answer kind of thing, right? So I'm like, if you're gonna be in this space, you're gonna have to work on the craft.
Yeah.
Like
Popeye's biscuit interview. It was a Popeye's biscuit interview. It was dry.
It was.
You told him?
I just told him that he may need to work on his interviewing skills a little bit.
And he hasn't posted it yet, has he?
So it was so bad. He didn't like him. I'm saying it wasn't bad. Okay. So he did not like himself in the interview so much so that he had me to just chop up clips of the man talking. So this whole almost 30-minute episode, he was like, hey, can you find this part? Can you find this part? Can you find this part? And none of them was him. It was all the judge.
Work. He's okay, but so he knew he was whack.
Yes, he did. And he ain't called back. All right, there we go.
Okay, so you trim so because you were honest and that wasn't even your friend, right?
No.
So why don't you start going up under these podcasters' posts and start saying stuff like that? Why don't you start DMing folks and be like, hey, if you gonna do this, you was a little dry. If you did that, people would go towards their purpose. And sometimes your purpose ain't a mic.
Sometimes
that part, and sometimes I think podcasts are good for what podcasts are good for. I really do. And it's stay in your lane. Like, you can make it work for you, but when you're trying to be somebody else, and that's something I had to address myself about, Cookie. Like, both of us look up to Dave, CJ, Carl, or whatever, and I was
hold on. Case in point, his inspiration was Shay Shay. Okay, all right.
Whoa, no, stop. Here's the thing about Shay Shay. Marlon Wayans even got on Shay Shay recently. He cracked on the fact that he got better because when he came out, he was this big country bumpkin just plopping all over the couch. We are watching the elevation of him becoming an actual interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
First, he's worked very hard on his craft. So if Club Shay Shay is again, you want the lifestyle. You want that Portier because that man is still learning. So you want the lifestyle of a ball player turn. That's what I'm saying. People don't want to follow somebody that at least cares about journalism a little bit.
That part, and that's one of the things I appreciate about Dave. Like, one thing I've learned about him is, like, he says, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna study it. And I love this phrase that my daddy says at church before he reads the word. It says, this is my Bible. In it, I will seek God's guidance. In it, I will seek the purpose it has for my life. I will trust its content because it is the word of God. In it, I will study to show myself approved. And some of us do not want to study to show ourselves approved. We just want, like you say, the glitz and the glamour. But when you get in it, you like, oh, I didn't know I had to be consistent in this thing. Oh, I didn't know I couldn't just go be emotional. I'm going to tell you the truth. Today is recording day, and I did not feel like it. When I woke up this morning, in my mind, I did not feel like talking to anybody. I didn't even want to talk to myself.
And those are real days. It's work. This ain't, if you just do it when you feel like it, you ain't gonna never do it because life is gonna life. And life's even more when you decide to be a creative. Man, them bills hit different. Them relationships hit different. People not showing up for you hits different.
Yeah.
It feels different. You gotta be able to motivate yourself because some days you're the only person that's gonna do it.
Exactly. Cookie, we could talk for like 2 hours. Like, real talk. I love you. I love you, girl. If you didn't know it, you know it today. I really love you. You have a special place in my heart. And I'm, like I said earlier, I'm rooting for you. Desiree, you got something to say to Cookie? Because I know I know it was like,
this is my first interaction, and I love it. You know, I love the boldness, like, because that's honestly, that's like the inner, I think the inner girl that want to come out, that don't come out. You know what I'm saying? So I love when somebody can just be their authentic selves, and like you showing up as yourself and you doing what you're called to do in your purpose will definitely help somebody, i.e. myself, do the same in the space that I'm called to. So I just want to thank you, and it was a pleasure. And it ain't gonna be last time, okay?
No,
it was
not.
a pleasure of meeting you.
Well, I need to say something to Jess real quick, because when you be on we used to be on these calls, there was a theme with your questions to like Dave and CJ. And it always seems like every once in a while you seem like you stuck or you be doubting yourself. And I just like, when you do it, I be confused. Cause I be like, for what? I don't get it. Like you work, and we've seen the fruit of your labor and the opportunities have come with it. So I'm always like, first of all, I'd be like, man, she capping. I think she just wanted to talk today. Cause ain't no way this girl died. I just be confused with it, that sometimes I don't trust it. Like, how are you doubting yourself? Or are you watching the elevation of what's going on with you? I really be confused at how you be out here bossing up, but you still be like letting stuff like that come out of your mouth. And I just think it has no business coming out of your mouth, because you ain't just serious about your platform. You're serious about your walk with God, which, because you have that foundation, you're going to be good. It's us little ratchet monks out here that just be trying to do whatever and then still expecting fruit. So I'm just want to let you know, I really be utterly confused when you be having them moments and you be asking them questions, because I just don't see where it comes from. I just feel like it should have no place. I be confused. I'm just going to say it. I'm like, I don't know why you say that. I don't know why you say things like that. I don't.
You got something. I feel like Desiree finna ask something. I'm just gonna be quiet, cause you right.
Thank you, Cookie.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Dave just told me this this week. He told all of us that we had to trust ourselves. And then I went up to him and I said, I like you, but you make me feel so uncomfortable. Meaning that every time I'm talking to him, it's not like, oh, it's a bad idea, because CJ tells us about the idea, you trust the person, not necessarily the idea. The person is the credible thing.
Right.
And I think I just got to get to a point where I trust, like, this is my reality, this is what I do, and I can be confident about that. And you know what I'm saying, just walk in a boldness. And that's one thing, that's what I like about you. Like, thank you for that pour. Thank you for that. That means a lot coming from you. It really does. No, I'm not capping. I genuinely have moments like that. Me and Desiree argue all the time regarding that. That's something that I'm continuously working on. So thank you for coming for my neck on my podcast.
I just like genuinely be like, girl, if you wanted to talk, just say that. Ain't no way in hell. That's literally how I be taking. I just be like, what do you mean? Like, I don't get it. But I don't walk your walk. I'm not in your body, and I don't have your brain. So I can't speak to what goes on with you outside of this, because we all got lives outside of this. So
yeah. Thank you, Cookie. One of the things that we do here on Just Ask the Podcast, Cookie, is we give our guests the final word, the final thought for this space. And so if they didn't hear anything out of the last hour that we spent together, what is the thing that you want to leave with the audience today?
Intentionality in everything you do. When you decide that you want to do a thing, when you decide that you want to connect with people, when you decide to do anything, ask yourself, what are the intentions behind this? What is the real goal? I think that if we got real with ourselves about why we trying to do what we do, it would eliminate a whole lot of mess. Just a question that only you could truly answer yourself, not the one that looks good on social media or on the mic. What's the intentions behind this and why?
That's good. I think that's solid, Desiree. Like, Cookie, you family, welcome to the Just Answer Podcast, family. We're gonna have to have all. Man, y'all show my girl some love, not just by commenting and liking this episode, but y'all go over to her platform. Of course, we'll have all her information in the description, but please go over to the Dirty Bag Podcast and just subscribe. That if you can do that, that helps us so much. We can get a lot of things done with numbers. I'll just keep it at that. We can get a lot of things done with numbers. Were you about to say something, Cookie?
Go vote. Hit the
Go
link.
and go
I
vote.
don't know it's dropping, but hit the link in my bio and vote.
Yeah, we'll put the link on this this podcast, so make sure you put it in the description too.
Okay.
So y'all, I think it's been said all day. This has been a great time with Cookie Brown. Thank you, Cookie. Thank you, Desiree, as always.
Thank you,
and
girl.
Thank you, family. Until next week, until next time, remember, life could be much more simple if you just ask.